I do not think that it's in our hands, not because we can't. In the words of James Baldwin, he said that racism is a white man's problem.
Mm.
Afro-Americans failed in solving white supremacy and racism in the United States of America, not because they are stupid, it's because it's not their problem. So I don't think it's like Zionist brutality, the criminal behavior of this regime, is not something that we can solve, not because we are not generous, not because we are not, or we're not creative enough, not because we are not indigenous enough, not because we don't have the tools, not. It's not in our hands. 400 years of slavery in the United States were not solved by slaves. It's not because those slaves were not hardworking people, were not beautiful people, were not amazing human beings. It's because it's not in their hands. It's not their problem. We need those who view Zionism as their problem and then deal with it in the exact same way Germans dealt with Nazi ideology. Give it up completely. Criminalize those who uphold it. Because the only outcome of this fascistic ideology in Palestine is what you have been seeing in Palestine for the past 100+ years. Like for us, our responsibility is to make sure that we do exactly as the past generations who created the soil of Palestine over the past 10,000 years. Never be defined by the brutality of the criminals who come after you. We're not defined by the brutality of the crusaders who turned Jerusalem into a bloodbath for 6 days. 140,000 of our ancestors were murdered by those like European criminals who stole a symbol from our culture, put it on their shields, and came in and murdered each and every single living soul in Jerusalem. We're not defined by that. It's not in our hands to do anything about this ideology because we are like we don't even feed into its survival. We're there subject to it. We refuse to be defined by it, and it's our duty to always express our rejection to it. In our indigenous culture, we have a beautiful saying that goes like this: if you see wrongdoings, you are owed to reject it with your fist, with your hand. But if you can't, then with your word. And then if you can't, then with your heart. And that's the least of the belief in justice or good doings. We do not have an option to just submit completely to Israeli criminal behavior. We can try. Numbness is possible, but numbness is not comfortable. Oppression is traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Like we are survivors of criminal behavior. I see no difference between a survivor in an incubator in Shifa Hospital who clinged to life while Israeli soldiers kicked the nurses, kicked the families, kicked everyone out of the hospital, or a survivor like my father. I don't see any difference. We're all survivors, regardless of our age, regardless of our knowledge, regardless of our opinions, regardless of color, faith, identity, and so on. We're all forced as Palestinians to survive Israeli criminal behavior, whether we like it or not. And of course, like survivors, among us, you find survivors who inspire you and make you feel kind of like guilty on even thinking of surrender as an option. But also, you have like survivors who are like very brutal and even would go as far as collaborating with Israeli criminal behavior. I do not see it as our failure. I think us continuing to express our rejection to the brutality of the savage regime is a responsible way of surviving. Do not blame, like, we should not blame ourselves for the maintenance of this savage regime because we are
Yeah.
subject to it. If we think of like an evil system of domination, like patriarchy, like my sisters are unable to resolve patriarchy, not because they are stupid. It's because like patriarchy is not a problem that they have created. Male domination is not
Because we
something
live
that
in
was
the man's
created
world.
by, but
Yeah.
we need to be aware of it because like blaming the victim is like
No, but
Blaming the victim is like